So, pretty cool. The Fifth Amendment cop card, it's done today. Fifth Amendment cop card is something you can carry in your wallet. It's the same size as your driver's license or a credit card. The Fifth Amendment cop card, what it does is it walks you through the step-by-step process of what you do with that copper when you plead the Fifth Amendment and why and how. It's a six-step process. That's what the Fifth Amendment cop card's for. I'll do a print-at-home version, and then I do a credit card version as well, like an actual driver's license. It's just like your credit card. It's called the 5A cop card. And the reason it's called the 5A cop card is so that you do not talk to cops.
Hey guys, I'm Amanda with Grunt Style, and I plead the Fifth. We've all heard this, but what does it mean? It provides several protections for people accused of crimes, except in cases arising in the land or naval forces or in the militia when actual service in time of war or public danger. Nor shall any person be subject for the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life or limb. Nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. Anyone who has seen a congressional hearing has heard the Fifth Amendment speech. It basically means that you don't have to self-incriminate yourself.
Exactly how much money did you earn in your time as a crack dealer?
I said there are so many amendments in the Constitution of the United States of America. I can only choose one. I can only choose one. I plead the Fifth. I plead the Fifth. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Anything you say, Fifth. Go ahead and ask me a question. Fifth. I have a secret document that I think you need to say.
All, sir. Good afternoon.
When the cop approaches you, you say, I plead the Fifth Amendment right now.
You have the right to remain silent. And of course, this is probably the most famous part of the Fifth Amendment, talking about the right not to be a witness against yourself. And certainly this traces back, like much of the Bill of Rights, to the Magna Carta, and I think back to Oliver Cromwell, and the concept of not having, to be self-incriminatory against yourself, where that comes from. But the very basic concept is the government has something to prove. You do not have to help them. You don't have to be like, oh, help. You think I did it? Here, I'll go. Let me. What do you want? What do you want to know? No, you certainly don't have to do that. And technically, you don't have to answer any question the police gives you. I believe you do have to give your ID. Most states have laws. This was a recent Supreme Court case where you have to turn over your ID. But you don't have to answer questions. If you don't want to, you don't have to. And you certainly always can invoke that right and invoke your right to a lawyer and invoke the right not to consent to a search. If you know those three things, I invoke my right to remain silent. I'm invoking my right to an attorney. I do not consent to any searches. That's probably the three strongest sentences that you can give to protect yourself with the Fifth Amendment.
And your Fifth Amendment is unequivocal. It's unequivocal. Cop loses his qualified immunity if he continues to question you. You got to understand this. You guys saw me go through the DUI checkpoint and that jackboot thug pig pulled me over for no reason. What did I do? I immediately took out my trifold and I invoked my Fifth Amendment right. Now you can use a card or you can use the trifold, but you show the cop and you show the camera. I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. Then you show the cop. Here it is. I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. The cop, when I went through the DUI checkpoint, he no longer questioned me. The questioning ended. He said, have a nice night. Goodbye. Why is that? The reason why isn't because I'm some sort of powerful wizard. It's because the cop loses his qualified immunity. Your Fifth Amendment is unequivocal since 1793. You have the right to remain silent and not be questioned without your attorney present. That cop who stopped me at that DUI checkpoint, he knew that I invoked my Fifth Amendment right. I showed him on the card. I showed the camera. And then he said, have a nice night. I don't endorse drinking and driving. However, if you've had a drink, it's not illegal to drink and drive. It's illegal to drive impaired. So if you've had one beer or one glass of wine and you go through a DUI checkpoint, don't look at that jackboot thug pig. You put your Fifth Amendment card or your trifold up to the window, you film the card, you film the cop, and you say, I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. That's it. I invoke my Fifth Amendment. I invoke the Fifth. The fewer words, the better. DUI checkpoint right here. So remember, you want to use your trifold right away. You don't want to put yourself in a position where you have to answer questions for a DUI checkpoint. That's not what you want to do.
Hey, how's it going, sir?
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to remain silent.
All right, have a good night.
Yep. You put your Fifth Amendment card or your trifold up to the window, you film the card, you film the cop, and you say, I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to remain silent.
So how many times have you heard about somebody taking the fifth or pleading the fifth and thought to yourself, well, that means that they must be guilty? Well, you're not alone. It's a pretty common misconception. So today I want to talk to you about what the Fifth Amendment is and what it is not and why some people take it. If somebody takes the fifth or pleads the fifth, is that the same as an admission of guilt? No. And I can't say that clear enough. No, it is not. It is not an admission of guilt. In fact, if it was an admission of guilt, then the Fifth Amendment and all of the protections it provides would be relatively useless, because that's the whole point of the Fifth Amendment. So there's a lot of reasons why somebody, when being compelled to give a statement, might exercise their constitutional right to plead the Fifth Amendment and to remain silent and to not answer those questions. So I wanted to go over some of those with you here. What are some reasons why somebody who is not guilty might plead the Fifth Amendment? So first, this one's easy, because they can. All right. It is a right guaranteed to them by the Constitution of the United States. They are allowed to do that. There aren't any other constitutional rights that I can think of that when we exercise them, somebody says, well, that's because you're doing something wrong. First Amendment says we get the right to say what we want to say. When we do that, nobody says, well, that's because you're doing something wrong. Second Amendment, right to bear firearms. If we exercise that right, it's not because somebody says we're doing something wrong. The Constitution allows us to say, I'm not answering that question. Think of it this way. How many times growing up, or even once you're grown, has somebody that you don't really like come up to you and ask you some type of personal question? And your response is, it's none of your damn business. Right? The Fifth Amendment kind of acts the same way. You are allowed to tell the government, it is none of your business. I don't have to answer that question. You can't compel me to answer that question. Reason number two, how many times have you been speaking to a person where you've had what's called a slip of the tongue? You mean to say one word and another word comes out. You mean to say one name and another name comes out. It happens to me all the time with my kids. I forget who I'm yelling at and I start naming them other things. What if that happens, but the answer that you're giving is the difference between you remaining free or going to jail for a very long period of time?
A lot of people are not using it. You know, if you listen to the Pop Brothers at Law, their whole slogan, and I think he trademarked it, is shut the front door.
Shut the up. When cops ask questions.
Hey, how are you, man?
1 moment, please.
You can hold on to that for me, Stados. Thank you.
You have reached the voicemail.
It would be easier if you guys had
The $10.
you could buy it, but if you don't, I'll keep doing it. Because I didn't create a trifold business. That's just not what I was doing. I was creating a trifold for people so that they would have a way to invoke their Fifth Amendment right and not talk to these jackboot thug pigs. Because anytime you talk to a jackboot thug pig, you're putting your life in danger. They're investigating you. You can't talk to them. You can't talk to pigs. I mean, if you don't have the trifold in your car, why don't you have it? It should be on your visor immediately now. You should have that trifold in your car. The 5A cop card goes in your wallet. So if you're walking down the street and the cop says, hey, let me see some ID, you give him the 5A cop card. And you say, take a look at number 4 right there. You see number 4? I plead the Fifth Amendment. I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. You can get this on deletelaws.com. Everybody knows deletelaws.com. This is $30 and this is that indestructible paper. So you can destroy it, of course, you can destroy it. But if you just get it like this and then you put it back together, it'll pretty much hold up for a really long time. You can go to deletelaws.com with a Z, the downloadable $10 cop card or digital trifold. You print it at home and then you carry it. And if you lose it, you have the PDF on your computer, or you get the $30 printed version. But I want you not to talk.